Oh, I'm here in Suzu City, Ishikawa Prefecture, at a place called Chinese Farm. I'd like to talk with Mr. Katsuhiko Sumii.
For the kids, I teach them how to handle and ride horses for free. If any of them end up liking it here and can make a living working with horses, that would be great. Since these issues are happening precisely because of depopulation, if we can use horses to address these problems, I think it could also create jobs for them. Transporting racehorses is, as you'd expect, extremely stressful for them. Especially with long-distance transport, there's the serious risk of transport fever, which is really scary. But the fact that this company has managed to stay in business for so long probably means they've overcome those challenges, yes. So I think they have that kind of know-how. That kind of history too is important. Of course, for us, in order to win races, we transport horses from Rito to Tokyo or Nakayama for races. The longest trip is, of course, to Sapporo Racecourse in Hokkaido, which is a major goal, and now horses even fly overseas. When it comes to driving the van, careful driving is essential. Sometimes we travel together with the horses, and really for the horses' sake, we avoid sudden braking or sharp turns. Actually experiencing it, I realized that it must be a really stressful job.
And truly,
I thought they really have so many excellent drivers working for them.
thank you very much.
Well, I think the horse racing industry probably couldn't function without so
No, it's all thanks to you.
when it gets focused on, the sense of presenting the race course, moving around like this, yes, over there they have a lot of vans too. But first they come from Hokkaido on the very first trip. If they don't come, if they don't start, and then if they get shipping fever, their training gets delayed by 2 or even 3 weeks. So if the timing to use them in a race gets thrown off, it can lead to situations where a horse that could have won ends up losing. Even for top trainers, it's not always about the horse's ability. Sometimes it's actually because of things like the people involved causing shipping fever or overworking the horse during training. There are times when a horse can't win because of human error, like adjusting the training too much or too little. When I realized that, I started to feel that we really need to do something to support retired racehorses in some way. One important aspect is making sure they don't get shipping fever, how safely we can transport them to the race site so they can compete. I always thought that this aspect, getting the horse safely to the race site, was really the first step in the whole process of racing. So for example, when competing overseas, my very first experience abroad was with Shizario. Race in America, we sent people ahead of time to check out the local environment, see what was possible, and figure out where the staff would stay. It was all about how smoothly we could get the horse onto the plane. That preparation before loading the horse onto the plane was crucial. When it comes to these kinds of operations, I really think that unless everyone comes together as a team, things just don't work in this world. In that sense, the support from the shipping companies was an incredibly powerful asset, and even now I believe it remains an indispensable strength for us.
But, of course, for us as well, our top priority is to deliver the horses in good condition, or rather to transport them for racing while maintaining their best form.
I really feel that this sense of professionalism is what supports horse racing today.
Hearing such words from you, Sensei,
Well, honestly, you could just say it straight out. Don't say things like that only after you've quit. Well, I think from now on too, with this kind of support, a central horse racing will probably continue to exist, and of course local horse racing as well. I believe it's a society that's sustained by that. So I'm sure strength will continue to be essential from here on out. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Really, I sincerely hope so. If you could watch the videos on YouTube, like the movements of horses during races, I think it would be really interesting. My son is now with the JRA, and he went to the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe in France together with Deep Bond. He took a ton of photos as soon as he got into the paddock, didn't he? Getting the horses accustomed to the paddock beforehand is most definitely one of the primary and most significant themes to consider.
Yes, for me,
My very first overseas expedition was with Air Shakur, Dojima Muteki, and Agnes World. And our first trip to Europe was to St. Cloud. But Air Shakur kicked the back door of the cargo so hard that it got all bent out of shape. Well, since it's made of duralumin, it does bend.
Yeah.
When you think, what if this thing goes wild during a long expedition? What if something happens and the whole trip gets cancelled? That fear really gets to you. So It's incredibly important to train a horse that can stay calm inside the bouncer, especially when you fly them on a plane. You have to be extra careful. If the horse jumps out of the plane, for example, you really have to consider all these things. That's why I think the bouncer company is so... Whether the horse can get on and off smoothly and stay still, that's also actually affected by the driver's handling. For example, if the driver suddenly slams on the brakes, the horse might panic and go wild at that moment. Of course, it's not just about how the bouncer company drives, the surrounding environment matters too. There could be other drivers like third parties who might drive aggressively or suddenly change lanes, and things like that can happen as well. When you think about the work involved in safely transporting the horses all the way here for races without getting into any accidents, I believe that if a horse has a frightening experience even once during that process, it probably becomes a trauma for them. I imagine the company president is probably very strict in training the staff, but I think that kind of care is handled thoroughly, and that's why they're now able to take on overseas challenges.
Right? That's true. Even inside the car, there are all sorts of things, but just because you're the driver doesn't mean it's enough to just be able to drive. You really have to be able to handle what's happening right now.
You really have to have a dual set of skills. Yes, being able to drive a large truck while also being able to handle horses, having that kind of ability, I think, must make it really difficult to train people for the job.
Thanks to everyone, we've kept going and continue our work.
But honestly, by the time I started working with horses, so had already... That was the world back then. Yes, I also worked at a ranch in Hokkaido, so I know what it's like to transport horses to the racetrack in a van like this. Honestly, I even hesitated a bit about whether it was really okay for me to appear on this YouTube channel because this company has such a long and storied history. Yeah.
Not at all. Thank you very much.
You.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel.